because you seem to hit more forehands than the other ground stroke in tennis, and if you play offensive tennis, you've got to have a good one. Let's go to Dick Stockton, who not only hits a good forehand, but can talk about it.
First thing we want to consider is how do we hold the racket? What is the grip? And briefly, I would say that there's no one grip that everyone should use. But the most comfortable grip, and if you're a beginner, the one you probably would want to use when you first start, is called the Eastern grip, or basically a shake hands grip, where you bring your hand down the racket and literally just shake hands with it, as if that were someone else's hand. It's a very comfortable, relaxed position. You always want to be relaxed on every stroke you hit. But it's hard to say that that's the grip you should use. So if you go watch a professional tournament and you watch 12 different players, you'll see 12 different grips, varying from the Eastern to a continental in between, or to a Western, where they literally are around the racket in order to hit topspin. So it basically, the key word is comfort. Whatever is most comfortable for you as an individual is the best way to hold the racket. There are certain key elements to the forehand, and basically they are: 1, preparation; 2, transfer of weight from the back foot to the front foot; 3, where you want to meet the ball; and 4, the follow through. Now, how do we go from step to step? Well, basically, if you're in your ready position and your knees are slightly flexed at all times so that you can move right or left, and we're facing the net ready for the ball, and we see the ball coming to the forehand, the backswing should start so you have plenty of time to bring the racket forward. A common problem is that people don't get the racket back soon enough. They wait for the ball to hit on their side of the court, and then everything is one quick motion, and they don't really have the time to set up. So the most important thing is get the racket back early. There's several ways to bring the racket back. One is straight back, which saves a little bit of time. When I was 6 years old and learning to play tennis, I learned what we called the capital C, which is a little circular motion, like you're making a C with your racket. Now, obviously, that takes more time to get the racket from here to here than if you take it straight to here. So you have to prepare even earlier. But preparation is the key word. Now, if we can get the racket back and we turn the shoulders, very important to always try to be perpendicular to the net. Sometimes it's obviously impossible to, if you're hitting the ball on the run, to get the feet turned, but the important thing is to always turn the shoulders. And the difficult thing on the forehand is that you have to tell yourself to turn the shoulders. Whereas on the backhand, to take your racket back, you have to turn the shoulders. Everything is done automatically. That's why the backhand is a more natural stroke. The forehand is an unnatural stroke because you're coming across your body in an unnatural way. So if we got to tell ourselves to turn the shoulders, and you got to keep them turned as you swing, it's very natural. This is the common fault. It's very natural to, as you swing, pull your body, make everything go this way. But that's incorrect, and that's how you're going to lose control of the shot. I'm going to try to keep the shoulders turned until the stroke is finished. Like in golf, you keep your head down, everything stays. It's the same in tennis. Tennis, golf, and baseball are all very similar. The head stays still, the body stays turned. And the most important thing in all three of these sports is proper transfer of the weight from the back foot to the front foot. The forward motion starts as the ball is coming across to your side of the net, and as the ball hits, your racket should be coming forward. Now, the common fault with transfer of the weight is that most people panic. They get a little bit too excited about what they're doing, and they get the racket back, and they step forward, and then they swing. Basically, all the pace you want should come from your weight, not from your arm. It's not how hard you swing at the ball, but it's how well you time the transfer of your weight into the ball. So all this should be happening at the same time. The racket comes forward, the weight comes forward, and you meet the ball as you're moving forward, not after you've stepped forward. Now, when we transfer the weight, contact should be made at a point about even with the front foot. As you step in, the ball should be hit right there. Now, another problem that all players have, whether they're club players or professionals, is hitting the ball either too far away from the body or too close to the body. And if you hit the ball too close, you really don't see the ball as well. My father used to tell me when I was a little kid I didn't know anything about physics, but he always said that if you see a truck in the distance, it doesn't appear to be moving very fast. And it's the same in tennis. Even though it's maybe a distance of 12 inches, you actually see the ball, it seems to be moving slower at a point out here than it is in here. You can see the ball clearer and better away from your body than in close. But then how far away from the body is the next question. The arm should never be completely straight. The elbow should be slightly bent, but a nice relaxed bend of the elbow, not tucked in. Again, we go back to golf and baseball, and we want to always think about keeping the head completely still. If your head stays down, your whole body stays down. If your head comes up, your whole body comes up. And that's when you lose control, is when you pull off of the ball. But if we can keep the head still, right at that point, it's always looking at that point where we want to make contact, right there, and then just let the racket do the work. Now, one real big error that everyone makes is what do they do with the other hand? And I've improved my forehand considerably in the last few years by actually pointing to that spot where I think I should be hitting the ball every time. The final thing, which is very important on all strokes in tennis, but on the forehand, is the follow-through. Now, what do we do with the racket after the ball leaves the strings? It's a nice, easy, flowing stroke. The follow-through is across the body. Not straight up, but the common fault that most players have is that they hit the ball and they stop the swing right there. The follow-through is what gives the ball direction and which carries the ball over the net. Now, I've found that to help my forehand, personally, I've tried to actually I'm right-handed, I bring my right shoulder under my chin. And it helped me to really hit right through the ball and a nice straight follow-through, right under the chin. It also keeps my head down. So now we'll go through the whole stroke one time. From the ready position with the knees slightly bent, I see the ball coming to my forehand, and I immediately start my preparation. Both hands are working. It's not just one hand, you see. It's very important if you're right-handed to use your left hand, and if you're left-handed to use your right hand. Helps the balance. Balance is very important. So we get prepared. The shoulders turn first, and the hips. Shoulders and the hips go together. I see the ball coming. My racket comes back to here. My feet turn sideways to the net, and then as the ball comes, I step forward and meet the ball at a position even with my front foot. And a nice, easy, flowing motion right through the ball, across the body, follow through high, and back to the ready position. If you can think about preparation, weight transfer, keeping the head down, making contact in front of the body, nice, easy stroke, and a good follow-through, I think you'll find your forehand will improve tremendously. Once you feel comfortable with the basic techniques of the forehand and feel that you've mastered it and become a slightly advanced player, there's really three other ways you can think about hitting your forehand. And one is to hit it flat. Two is to put a little bit of topspin on the ball, which we see so much of today in the professional game. And three is to come under the ball, or what's called underspin. On these three strokes, the flat forehand, the topspin forehand, and the underspin forehand, two things to think about. First, one is the grip stays the same. You don't have to try to use a different grip to hit topspin or underspin or flat. And two is that on all strokes in tennis, the wrist should always be firm. A lot of people, especially on topspin, think that the way they get topspin is to turn the arm over or break the wrist, and that's the wrong idea. The wrist should always be firm in tennis. Tennis is not squash, it's not racquetball, where you use a lot of wrist. The wrist is always firm. Now, to hit the ball flat, the ball is coming to me. The idea is to come straight through the ball on the same plane, straight through it. The ball's at this plane, the racket comes from this plane, and they meet head on. The racket face is completely closed, and it comes straight through the ball. Now, if we remember the flat forehand, we came straight through the ball, and now from the same plane. But on topspin, the racket starts below the ball and comes up over it. It's called a sweeping motion, but we don't turn the wrist over and don't turn the arm over. Now, what topspin does the ball turns over more. If it goes flat, it might not turn at all. But with topspin, it turns. And you'll see that the ball will go high over the net and then dip. Lets you hit the ball hard, but still keep the ball in the court. Now, the third shot is underspin, which is used very rarely. And the idea is you start actually above the ball, and the face of the racket is open, whereas on the flat shot, it was closed. We come under the ball, from behind it again, and the ball spins the other way. It spins this way, whereas with topspin, it spun the other way. You come under the ball, carries the ball deep, but the ball stays low. Recapping, in the flat forehand, we come straight through the ball. The head of the racket is closed. Topspin, the head is open, but it comes from below the ball, and you brush up over the ball, and the ball spins, and it gives you control. Underspin, the head is open again, but it comes from above the ball, and the ball spins, turns the other way, and that keeps the ball low. Topspin, the ball bounces high. Underspin, the ball bounces low.